Welcome back to another Disney Infinity 3.0 tutorial. This follows on from my how to retreat from an Imperial attack. What I've done is I've taken that last video clip that I've done and I've added a few more extra features. So you'll see I've got Star Destroyers, I've got the AT-ATs. So I've played around with it, and what I want to show you in this clip is how you can call in X-Wing support to help you take on the troops. So I'm just going to show you one little feature that I didn't do on the other screen, is that with the AT&Ts, the doors are open. But if you send a trigger to them, you can actually have them close. So I just put this button here just to reset them, not to mess with anything on here. So you can see that when we start the mission, they could actually start with the doors being closed within the actual game. And if you watch my how to retreat from an Imperial attack, the rest of this setup is showing you how it's all made. So I'm not going to show you anything new here, but I am going to mainly show you how to get an X-Wing to come in and attack them. So let's start this thing off. And now we'll set the alarm going. And if we wait a few seconds, you'll see the doors will open and the troops down below will start appearing. So at the bottom of the screen, they will just appear on that item. Now what I've done is I've created a little option here that will allow you to bring in an X-Wing to fly in and destroy them and shoot them as you go across. So you could do a timer on it that you'll only be valid for so many times. Now I've got it fixed on a loop, so it will go on and constantly attack, but you could have this option only available for a certain period of time that will do it. So as I walk into this area, you'll see it says call in air support. So the troops are coming to the base, and if I don't press in that time, it will blank out. So let's go back in there, call in air support, and our X-Wing will come flying in. So here comes Poe, he comes flying through, like in The Force Awakens, and he shoots down and he'll get a couple of hits. Oh, it's 3 attacks, we've got a couple there. I'll just jump down, and as he flies back, he'll do another attack and run on the screen. Now I've got that in a loop, and you'll see some death in there, so I'll just carry on attacking it while the thing flies back. And the object here is, basically the video here is to show you how I get this bombing run to occur. So we've got a few more hits, that was a perfect hit there, well done. And it allows me to attack the base and take on all these Imperial Troopers. So I wanted to show you what the video was going to do first, because it's quite a lengthy one and I wanted you to be aware of what I'm trying to pick out. So we've done all the attack, we've done the get the troops and the waves to appear and what happens when you kill them on the wave, but it's just to show you how we get the X-Wing to fly through and bomb the individuals, and when it bombs them it actually does kill them as well. And it will just carry on flying through, doing it by here it comes again. Did we get any that time? Oh, we've got a couple, excellent. So I've got, I think, about 50 people in this attack that I managed to destroy. But it gives you an idea of what you've got to do, and as I say, it keeps flying over. Now, if I had more time, I may have had a couple of X-Wings crisscrossing over, just to give them an effect that they're fighting the enemy base. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to end this clip here now, and then I'm going to show you in detail how I put this element together. So if you bear with me, I will just transfer the clip over and we'll show you how it was made. So I've just got into a blank toy box where I'm going to bring in a couple of objects that aren't actually needed at all for this. It's just to help me show you how this thing works. So I'm going to bring in a button, one to start it, another button to stop it, and I need a repeater to loop through as if the ship was flying through. So I need to find myself a repeater, okay, and set it up. So but when we finish this exercise, I'm going to delete these objects, they're not needed. So the first things first, let's connect these buttons up. So when I press this button, so go there, press the square button, new logic connection. When pressed, can we start the repeater? Yeah, and we switch it on. And then we do the other side. When we press this button, new logic connection. When pressed, can we turn this item off? So to pretend it's a ship flying through, I'm going to change the repeat. So I'm going to go to properties of that repeat, and I'm going to set it to go at every 10 seconds. That gives me enough time to run in and out and dodge the explosion. So I'm going to set that up. So these now are the tools to configure my job. What we're going to build now are the things that you need for the explosion. And the first tool that we need is the effects generator. Let's bring in the effects generator. I'll just plug that, line that up. Okay. And the other tool that we're going to need is where do I want the effect to occur. So I'm going to need a locator. So I'm going to go across and pick a locator. And that is where I want the locator to appear. So I want the explosion to occur this part of the screen. So now I can finish off the connection up. So I can now say when my repeater is fired, new logic connection, when repeat, can you play the effect. Now you've got different types of effect, and there's one explosion that I love, and you'll see a lot of these in my clip, but under a single there is an explosion called a huge explosion. And if you watch any of my other clips, this probably is the only one I use. It's brilliant. But if you do a looped explosion, which means it plays it continuously, when you go to explosion, it's not there. It doesn't appear. So you have to put some process to loop it through. So I'm just going to go back because we want it to play once, and we want the explosion, and I want the huge one. Yeah, so just beware, not always the same setting depending on which menu you pick. And what we're going to do now is do a new locator, and we're going to associate that to our locator option there. So that is where the explosion is going to go. So let's turn it on, let's see it go. So when we press the button, hey presto, the explosion appears there, which is great. And in 10 seconds time, the explosion will go off again. So that's when I want the ship to fly over, it drops another explosion, and anyone in that explosion will die. Now the problem we've got with this is it's just an effect. So I can be standing in the middle of there and I won't die on the screen. So I now need to put some other tools that do the part where you get killed. So I'm just going to bring my toys back up, and what I'm going to bring in is the trigger area. Now I thought this is all I needed, and it doesn't work that well. So let's just put the trigger area in and you'll see why. So we plug it in the air, there's the trigger area. So we're going to say if you're inside the area you get killed. But if we go to the properties of this option and look at new logic connection, there are only two properties: entering the area or exiting the area. Yeah. So for me to actually do any logic, I have to be crossing into that area for me to get killed, or I have to be crossing out. If I'm stood in the air when the explosion occurs, I won't die. So that's not what I want. I want myself to be crossing between the two. I want myself half in and half out. And so it wasn't that easy. So I played around with this and realised there was a loophole in it. So then I came up with this ploy. So I'm going to take my trigger area and I'm going to shrink it down to a single screen. Yeah, so I'm just going to make it very thin. And the better effect, the more you can have this. So I've got that really thin wall. So as soon as I walk into it, I'm instantly coming out. Yeah. And I'm going to do another one, but I'm going to do it the opposite side. So you know, I've got one horizontal and the one the other way. So it's kind of like a crisscross option. So I'm going to shrink to this side. So this is smaller on this side. So two different items, very tiny to each other. Now don't join them up yet. I need them separated because it can't distinguish between the two. So what I'm going to say there is, right, I'm going to move that across and say, right, so on that particular option, I need to, when you walk into that area or into that area, I want you to die. So I need a couple more tools. Yeah. So let's bring these in. The tool I need is a kill switch. Now the problem with the kill switch is, if I link it to the kill switch, it's permanently on, which means even without the explosion, I'm going to get killed. So as soon as I walk through, I'm always going to die. If I link those two together, then I'm always going to be alive, actually, even if a bomb doesn't go. So we're actually going to use a logic gate. And what this logic gate does is that when the bomb's not flying, that gate's going to be closed, so the signal can't get through to the kill switch. So what we're going to say is, on new logic connection, when you enter that area, any player, any object, yeah, I'm going to send an input signal to that logic gate. Okay. And then that way is, as it comes through, if that gate is open, and that means the explosion is happening, I'm going to do new logic connection on output. What I'd like you to do is, can you actually send it to the kill switch, and can you defeat whatever the object is that was sent the signal. Now while I'm there, I'm going to do the other one, so I'm going to click onto that one, and I'm going to do new logic gate on exit, do any, and I'm going to point to that gate, and I'm going to do another input signal. So that now sets that gate up. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same with the other one now, but I want to do it before I join the two together, because as I say, they get mixed up. So again, new logic connection, when you enter that one, any on that setting, can we click into there, and can we do input, and do the same again on exit, new logic connection on exit, want to send a signal, and I want to input. Now I've got those done. Now I'm going to position the other two. So let's move this across. I'm going to put this in a crisscross position. Now I could have a couple of more, it's just very time consuming, but that gives me an area where I should, if I'm walking through, quite easily grab that setting. So if I walk into that area, I will get killed. As soon as I touch it, I die. Yeah, I have to touch it. But the thing is, the thing's live all the time because that logic gate is always open. Whenever you start a game, logic gates are always open, so the signal is live and goes straight from that trigger area straight through to the kill switch. So what I want to do is, when I start the program, I want to make sure that logic gate is closed. So I'm going to do a new connection on there, new logic connection, when pressed. So when I start this battle or routine, can you close that gate? Close it. Okay, so that means the signal no longer can't get through. And also when I finish the bombing run, I also want to make sure that the signal is stopped. So again, press into there, go onto that gate, and can you close that gate? So those two items are now closed. So if I now go and stop it, right, hit my stop button in, what I do now when I walk back, I can walk into the area to make sure it's in the right area, and I don't die because the gate is closed and the signal's not getting through. So now we know that we've got that working. What we're going to do now is I need to make sure that how do I get the gate on. So I'm going to bring in, when that thing is triggered, I want you to actually open the gate. Yeah. So when I actually fire the effect, that is when I want the gate to stay open. So the gate will now open up on the screen and it will now allow me to die. But the problem I've got there is, now I've opened the gate, I've got to switch the gate back off. The effect is finished. And I only do that by closing the program. So what I'm going to use is a time delay. And what I'm going to say here is that after a couple of seconds after the explosion has gone, can I then switch the gate back off and close it? Yeah, so in there I'm going to go to the properties of that time delay. Let's have a quick look. Let's change that to say 2 seconds. Don't want it too long, otherwise the effect will have gone by the time the explosion occurs. So if I now click onto that and say, right, on my effect, new logic connection, when that is triggered, can you set my timer? Yeah. And what I'd like you to do there is, I'd like you to set that timer off. Now, the trigger goes off, it opens the gate and it's now live. And when the timer is up, I want it to now close the gate. And that will now switch off the doors. So let's give that a test. So press the button, the explosion is going. Now I should be able to walk in there without dying, which I can, perfect. Yeah. Now as long as I'm in the right area when the bomb goes off, yeah, I will now die. Okay, but again I can walk in the area while it doesn't work. So that now has our bomb working in the... So the next question now is, how do I get the ship to trigger the actual item off? Well, like I'm going to say, I'm going to get my favourite tool out, which is the path tool. So I'm just going to come over here, stop the whole thing. Right, so let me get my creativity toys up and let's go back to the path tool and let's plot the route that we want the spaceship to occur. So if I go back to the magic tool, and I've shown you this tool a number of times in my clips, but it's still one of the best tools they've released. Here we go, right. So what we're going to do is we'll have a spaceship, it'll start off here, and we'll get it to fly around in a circle, so we'll get it to go across. Maybe need to get some lights, click it through, bring it up a little bit, go back up, so we're going to have a bit of a Poe flying around as in Force Awakens like I mentioned, so we're coming back round, it flies down. Now as Han Solo's going to die, probably make it a TIE fighter probably. It'll fly down again and then swoop. So again, I can play around with the movement, and the more dots you've got, by the way, it's not bad. Keep hitting the points because you can readjust it after you've done the path. So that's my path on the screen done. So if I get my wand back out and go to the green point, let's go to the properties of that. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure that it is the speed of it's 300. I want it to fly quite quickly, and I want it to be looped round. So it's a continuous loop, doesn't stop. Now that I've got that set up, I need to put a TIE fighter to fly through the area. Right, but before I do that, what I'm going to do is going to go back to my trigger area. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to position this inside the flight path of the TIE fighter that I'm going to put in. So in here I'm just going to make sure I get it right. You can see I'm way out there. Make sure I've got it in. So as the TIE fighter flies through there, I probably want to bring it back because I've got to give it time to drop the bomb. Yeah. As the TIE fighter flies through, as it comes across, it will shoot me and blow through the screen. So there is now my object. So what I can do here is, right, in that trigger area, if I go into that trigger area, when you go into that logic, when you enter that item, anything enters it. Yeah. Now I don't need to worry about my 3 buttons. I can point to my effects manager and say play once, and can I do explosion, and can I do a huge explosion. Right, so that has now set that up so it goes through. So these 3 objects are now redundant, so I can get rid of those, so they're no longer needed. That was purely just to show you how it's working. So get those repeaters off. So they're the only items that I need. So all I've got to do now to finish this off is put a TIE fighter on there. So let's go to vehicles. So I could put the Falcon on. Where's TIE fighters? TIE fighters, TIE fighters. Yeah, put a Force Awakens TIE fighter. So just drop that in there, doesn't matter where it is. Okay, and then if I click onto the ship and connect to that path, so on that ship there, do new path connection. And let's go to the green dot and let's connect it to there, and it should start moving. Toy path there. Now collect the TIE fighter again. In there, I'm going to go down to properties of the toy box path. I'm going to make sure it goes in the right direction so it follows round. I want to check that it's looped, yeah, and I want to make sure the speed's good. So I'll go back, yeah, make sure that should be 300. I go quite quick, so I change that to 300 on the screen. So that should now rocket through the system. No, not 3. I want 300. Oops. Right, now that's on there. That TIE fighter is going to fly through this. So as it flies through, it goes through the box and it sets the items off and triggers. A second later, it now deactivates it. So if I run through in the area, as the TIE fighter comes through, I was just outside it, so I noticed it, and then I get killed. So he comes back again. I'm running back. Quick, it's coming. Oh, it's supposed to be there. I'll make sure I'm in the right area. There you go. I'm dead. That's basically the gist of it. I probably need to make those trigger areas a little bit wider, but that is how I get the TIE fighter to drop a bomb on me and to kill it. So I'll just do a quick review of the level I did so we see how that works. If we just switch it to design mode, you will now see my grid, and you'll see that it can look very messy. So I've got the box at the top, which is linked to the first set, the next box, and so on and so on. Now when you're doing this, I strongly recommend you to make a note, sketch, because it's very easy to get confused of what objects are doing what within your toy box. But it's just an idea, it's something that you can use. I hope you're finding these clips to be of use. I've got some more to come. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.